Day 4 recap in the Lindsay Clancy trial. In the morning yesterday, jurors were taken to 3 sites relevant to this case: the Clancy home, and then the 2 places that Patrick Clancy went to on January 24th, 2023, those being the 3V restaurant and CVS. After jurors returned from viewing those sites, we heard testimony from 5 witnesses. The first witness was Duxbury Police Detective Mark Anthony Maffio. He went to South Shore Hospital on January 24th, 2023, where he thought that Lindsay and Patrick Clancy were located, but he later learned that Patrick had been transported to another hospital. He described Lindsay as sedated and unconscious with lacerations to her wrist and neck. Many photos were shown of those injuries, but I am not sharing them here as they are very graphic. While he was at the hospital, he collected Lindsay's clothing, which had been cut off of her, and her wedding bands. He was asked if hospital staff were actively tending to Lindsay's lacerations, and he said that they were not while he was there. Other law enforcement arrived, so he left the hospital and went to the Clancy home, where a search warrant was being executed by state police and Duxbury police. He assisted in that search. He confirmed that prescription bottles were seized, although he wasn't in the room while they were seized, so he could not testify to the details. He himself found a laptop in a first floor closet, and he also confirmed that he saw the blood in Lindsay and Patrick's bedroom. Photos were shown of that blood. Again, I'm not sharing those photos here. He also confirmed that that room was very cold because the window was open. Maffio was also shown photos of Lindsay's clothing, and he was asked about blood on the clothing. He confirmed that both the interior and exterior of her clothes had blood on them, and the window that she had come out of did as well. The next witness was Duxbury police officer Richard Lepard. He was sent to South Shore Hospital to remain with and observe Lindsay Clancy. When he arrived, the previous witness was present. Lepard described Lindsay as sedated, nonverbal, and lying in the hospital bed. He did not recall if he was present when photos were taken of her injuries. When Lindsay was transported by medical helicopter to a Boston hospital, Lepard rode with her and continued to overwatch her. Officer Broderick was also there assisting to watch over Lindsay Clancy. Lepard said Lindsay remained unresponsive after arriving in Boston. At some point during the night there was a medical code involving her, but he did not know the specific details of what code or what it meant. He remained with Lindsay for approximately 15 to 16 hours before he was relieved the following morning. He testified that during that entire period, Lindsay did not interact with him or anyone else. The next 2 witnesses we will discuss were emergency room physicians that worked on Dawson and Callan. I want to warn you that some of this testimony may be hard to hear, so if you don't want to hear those details, please scroll away from this video now. Dr. Mark Tenarowicz testified that he treated Dawson, and Dawson arrived by fire department ambulance. The initial information that was given to the medical team is that Dawson had been strangled, he did not have a pulse, and he was not breathing. Dawson arrived with CPR already in progress, a breathing tube in place, and a device inserted to provide intravenous fluids. The doctor observed older bruises on his legs and stated that Dawson had ruptured blood vessels on his face. The medical team continued CPR efforts, administered epinephrine, IV fluids, medication for acid buildup, and calcium. They repeatedly checked for breathing and a pulse, but they never found evidence of a heartbeat. After approximately 40 minutes of treatment, Dawson was pronounced deceased at 7:28 p.m. Dr. Benjamin Kaufman then testified about treating Callen. Callen also arrived with no heartbeat and was not breathing. CPR was being performed and a bag was being used to assist with breathing. The medical team continued compressions and CPR. They established an IV, administered epinephrine, and used an ultrasound to examine his heart. Dr. Kaufman also immediately called Boston Children's Hospital just in case Callen needed more advanced care. About 10 minutes into treatment, doctors were able to restore a heartbeat. However, Dr. Kaufman testified that Callen never began breathing independently and showed no evidence of brain function while in his care. During the testimony about Dawson and Callan's treatment, Lindsay Clancy was visibly sobbing, which we have seen a couple of times during this trial already. The final witness for day 4 was Melissa Acardapane, who was a supervisor in the specimen processing department at South Shore Hospital. She mostly testified about their processes and their standard practices, how they keep specimens, and she testified that the laboratory received a preservation notice involving Lindsay's blood and urine samples. So those samples were placed in a specimen refrigerator according to protocol, and those were later turned over to police. The prosecution asked whether the preserved samples included 6 vials of blood and 1 vial of urine, but Melissa said she could not recall the exact number, just that they had been handed over to police and that they did belong to Lindsay Clancy. Court was then ended for the day after that witness, and trial will resume on Monday morning at 9 a.m. The judge confirmed that they are running on schedule, or even a little bit ahead of schedule. They've been saying this trial will be 6 to 8 weeks, but we'll see if it is a little bit shorter based on what he said. I'd like to hear your thoughts on trial so far and day 4 specifically. What do you think about the field trip that the jurors took to 3V, CVS, and the Clancy home? And of course, most importantly, rest in peace to the 3 children at the center of this case, Cora, Dawson, and Callen.